Hey, Soraya.
Hey, Jeff.
So, was it a couple weeks ago that we did our focus on 16 tambourines?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and some things came out of that. I think Danny Benair might have listened to that episode,
I
right?
have a feeling because he says he's got answers for us. So
We're going to have to do a follow up to that episode.
100%. But if anything, it shows that revisiting some of these classic albums is important because we learn more about them now.
Yes.
And today, I think we've picked a pretty fantastic album to focus on. What is it, Jeff?
So, today we're talking about Rain Parade's Emergency Third Rail Power Trip. I've got to say it slow, Soraya.
Now, I saw you hold up that beautiful album. How many signatures do you have on it?
So, I have Matt's and Stevens in the balloon right here. So, unfortunately, two of the members are no longer with us, with Will Glenn and David Roback being gone. And I did not have opportunity to have them sign this before their departure from this plane. And I've got a lot of space for Eddie Kawa, who we've talked to, and I might mention is one of the most beautiful human beings that I know, man. That guy's got a great heart. So
spectacular person.
Eddie, right here.
We'd have to go on a very northward road trip
to the Great White North, and
oh my gosh, to the beautiful Canadian space.
Yes,
he's the one and only. But we digress. Yes, and to Eddie, we send lots of good vibes because he's a great guy. All right, Jeff, let's get started.
Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
A podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a grooviar.
Let's get groovy. Okay, so emergency third rail power trip. So any general thoughts?
I definitely think, Jeff, our listeners can say we have nothing but love for Rain Parade.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of respect and love for Rain Parade. So, Jeff, why is this album included in this focus?
Well, besides being a fantastic album, I think it's one of those albums that are just key to the Paisley Underground movement. We've talked about 16 Tambourines, the Bangles EP, Days of Wine and Roses by Dream Syndicate. This is definitely one of those that are absolutely key. And as you'll see later as we get into our discussion, I'm following your lead on this one in that you like to do in your research, you like to look at some of the comments on YouTube to find stuff. And I did a little bit of that this week in my research, and we'll get to that later. But a lot of the comments were to that fact that this album is one of the greatest Paisley Underground albums, and I think that goes without saying. So we have to dig into this a little bit more than we have.
So I wanted to just kind of put a little context. So in just kind of doing a little bit of research, and we can talk about the details of release and everything in a minute, but just to kind of give it a little bit of an overview. So this is a quote from a book from 2003 called Turn On Your Mind. Turn On Your Mind, 4 Decades of Great Psychedelic Rock.
Oh.
And so the critic Jim DeRogatis, wrote the following quote: "Emergency Third Rail Power Trip is not only the best album from any of the Paisley Underground bands, it ranks with the best psychedelic rock efforts from any era." And he added, "Songs such as What She's Done to Your Mind, Kaleidoscope, and Look at Mary showcase Pucci and the Robacks' ethereal vocals, Eddie Kawa's precise drumming, Matt Pucci's colorful sitar, Will Glenn's violin and keyboard accents, and an intricate chiming Badroni 2-guitar attack that picks up where the birds left off with 8 Miles High."
Nice.
That's a lot of some of those things you and I have said before in previous episodes. I mean, not with the same words, but like I like to talk about how the vocals are very dreamy and, you know, kind of otherworldly. We've talked with Eddie Kawa and talked about his drumming. And I mean, there's nothing I don't like about this album.
Same. Yeah.
And I think it's because of some of the things that Jim DeRogatis mentioned, some of the things that you and I have noted over time. This is a really unique album. Okay, so let's talk about the details. When was it released?
Okay, so 1983 on Enigma. It was when the original pressing came out, this pressing here, which included 9 songs. It was recorded at Contour Studios in Los Angeles, February to March of 83, and came out that same year. So it's one of those things where they recorded it and came out pretty quickly. A couple of songs, Saturday's Asylum and Kaleidoscope, were recorded at Radio Tokyo. So we had talked about that on our Radio Tokyo compilation episode. The most important album of my life, by the way. So those were the details. But then later, it was also released in the UK the year later on Zippo Records. Right. So this
Jeff the completist.
Yeah. So, which is a gatefold.
Oh my gosh, look at that beauty.
Yeah. So the American pressing is not a gatefold, but the Zippo version came out a year later and added Look Both Ways, which made it a 10 album track at that point. So the original, which is really what we're discussing today, had 9 songs, but so that was that. And then it was also released by Real Gun in 2019. And look at this, Soraya. So
I mean, can it get more beautiful than that?
Yeah, so for those who are listening, it's a yellow and orange swirl vinyl version.
Beautiful.
So Frank Dragato, are you watching? Look at this. Look at this.
Are you saying it because you're trying to make him jealous that you have it?
No, he probably has it too.
Or he has it in his collection. You're just saying, I got mine too.
Yeah, yeah. He loves colored vinyl. So, and then also there's CD version. So the original on Restless. And Soraya, did you want to talk a little bit about this one?
So a couple of years ago, it was remastered by the one and only Jim Hill, who we had on the show, and
great guy,
who has such a long relationship with the band. But the sound is beautiful on this remaster. And I remember when we took the road trip up to, what was it on the episode or was it in person that Matt Pucci said, oh no, you got to listen to the remaster because the sound is how we envisioned it. And it's just really, and it's a beautiful listen. But Jeff and I attest to it. It's the remaster by Jim Hill just a couple of years ago. So it's easily and readily available.
Yes, on CD. Yep.
Yeah, on CD, sorry. Is really good. And so I think we should note, while we're talking about and using the track listing from the original 83 release, the audio is from the remaster. So you can't fault us for, I mean, we just wanted to be transparent.
Yeah, so what you're hearing today on our tracks will be the Jim Hill remastered version.
Right.
Which are pristine and amazing.
Yeah. And if you don't have this remaster, you should have it.
Yes.
It's really well done and beautiful.
I have to say, it's probably the definitive version out of everything that I have. So the new vinyl, which looks amazing, is from the original pressing, I believe. So the sound on this CD is probably the best that you're going to have. So,
right.
So Ronnie Barnett, the CD man, we like to go back and forth because I like to say vinyl is the way to go. And I kind of misquote him because he says there's good things about CDs too, but I like to give him a hard time that he thinks that CDs are superior, but he never said that. But anyways, so Soraya, earlier we were talking about some YouTube comments, and there were some comments about Emergency Third Rail Power Trip that were kind of funny because I saw several that said that this album is definitely a link to the 1960s. So you can definitely hear the 1960s, and probably an equal amount of comments that said that this album was way ahead of its time in the soft, ethereal feel that it had that's pretty much bigger now
Right.
than has ever been. So it's funny that some people talk about how it's a link to the past, and some people talk about that it's way ahead of its time in the future. So to me, that spells timelessness. So
Right.
this is one of those albums that I think are just really timeless. It definitely has its feet in the 60s for sure, but
Mhm.
it's one of those timeless albums. Whereas if you would say like the 3 o'clocks ever after is definitely something that is a product of its time, right?
Right. Right.
Production. Whereas this one, I feel it's just timelessness. The songs are just timeless. So,
I
but
agree.
yeah, it's funny reading those comments how you have some referring to the past and some referring to the future, and to me that just spells timelessness. So
Well, and I think that pretty much encapsulates what Rain Parade is, and especially now, I think I hear this album differently now because I know there are new songs coming. It's weird to think of it like that.
yeah,
Or at least those are the videos that we've been seeing. We've seen, and if you follow Matt Pucci, if you follow Stephen Roback, if you follow Derek C, we've had little glimpses of the band getting together and laying down tracks. But it's just, I think that really kind of encapsulates what the band is. They're really kind of timeless, and they move in a space that's musically really their own, and you start to hear a lot of different influences from different things. And I think that's what's really inventive about this album is no two tracks follow the same pacing, follow the same arranging. I mean, they're all different, and you hear so many different influences really kind of congregate into one. It's really a fresh listen. Yeah.
indeed, yeah, and yet it's still cohesive, right? I
Mhm.
mean, I totally agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yet it's still, as a whole, I'm an album person. It is
Sorry, my cat agreed. My cat was
good.
agreeing.
The three of us are all on board.
We're interspecies agreement. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. So I
Sorry.
was just so it all just fits together as a whole. So
Yeah. Okay. So then, and we've already talked about the lineup, which for this album, it does include Matt Pucci, Stephen Roback, David Roback, and Will Glenn, and Eddie Calwa. Sorry.
yes. Yep.
Okay. So Jeff, I want you to go first. And I'm wondering if you're going to do what I think you're going to do.
You probably know me way too well, sir. So yes, I am starting off with the leadoff track.
Boom. So we're starting off side one, track one.
Yes, right from the beginning.
All right.
So I could say all the normal things. I just love the song, the guitar, the bass in this is incredible. Stephen Roback is the bass in this is just amazing. The drums are great, the vocals are great, the guitars are all great. But the reason why I picked this, I wish I could put into words the feeling that I have right from the beginning. So as the song, there's a guitar that slides up down right away, like those two notes. There's just something that just fills me with excitement. There's nostalgia. I feel hope. I don't know, just that guitar part. We've mentioned it before. Matt Pucci has talked about what a big influence the band Television was. I hear that in this guitar part, but just the feeling that I get, I don't know how else to describe it, but just those two notes alone, every time I hear this album, and I've heard this album hundreds of times, it just fills me with just such good vibes. Just the music and then everything about the song. I think this is a perfect song. It's a great lead off track. Back to my copying you with the YouTube comments.
Sure.
When I was looking at this video, talking in my sleep on YouTube, one of the comments said, and I don't agree with this at all, but I love the comment nonetheless. It was by somebody named Dewey Pug. So Dewey Pug writes, if REM's Murmur and Beatles' Revolver had a baby, Talking in My Sleep. So I don't agree with that at all. I don't hear REM in this. I don't hear the Beatles in this necessarily. Maybe a little bit, but those are two of my absolute favorite albums, like way at the top. Murmur and Revolver are just great to me. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but I love the comment nonetheless. Some people agreed with it, so who am I to say otherwise? But I just love the comment nonetheless. And then a little bit about the lyrics that I wanted to mention that I'll reference later with my second song. But I heard a knocking at the door. I crawled across the floor and tried to let you in, but you were gone before. I could turn a key and almost certainly. So there's something about that that just touches me a lot. So there's this knocking at the door, you go there, and then they're gone already. So it feels like the way that life is sometimes. Like there's an
Yes.
opportunity, and by the time you're there, that opportunity's gone. But the phrase "I could turn a key," keep that in your mind when I get to my second song.
Okay.
But anyways, right off the bat, um, for our listeners, listen to this bass. Stephen Roback is amazing on this bass. The guitars are great. And the song ends with, I believe, Matt Pucci on sitar. So it ends with those last notes. So I say we start off with the lead off track. Here's Talking in My Sleep.
Dreaming on my feet. I don't know
great song.
It is. And I should mention that it's written by David Roback and Matt Pucci. And it sounds like to me that they're doing a duet vocals on that. So, man, that song is amazing.
And what a great lead off track. I mean, I think I can echo what you said about how you feel with that first strum, right? It just something plugs in and you're like, okay, I'm along for the ride. Really good lyrics. I like the arrangement of this song a lot. And we get a lot of different elements kind of thrown at us really seamlessly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like, one instrument stopped and another one started, but it's really woven in really, really well.
Yeah.
So hats off to the production because they did it really, really well.
Yeah.
The arrangement was just great.
Yeah. And you mentioned production. So the album was produced by David Roback and Rain Parade. So I forgot to mention that earlier. And also Matt Pucci has told us several times that the band's songwriting style, someone would bring in the song and then other people would add to it. So I believe that David brought in the song and then Matt helped with pieces. So to have multiple songwriters and have that consistency and the way that the song is just strung together so perfectly it's amazing with multiple songwriters. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so you picked a song. Did you follow my leadoff track and go right?
No,
right
I didn't.
No, you
but
didn't.
I'm sticking with my one song from each side.
Okay.
Now, and this song is a personal favorite of mine. So, and I'll tell you why I picked it. So the song I've picked is 1 hour, 1/2 ago. I always want to say 1.5 hours ago, but it's 1 hour, 1/2 ago. It's track 4 from side 1. And I've said before, this is a great listen, tracks 1 through 9 or 10 if you're dealing with the version. But what sealed the deal for me for this pick was hearing this live. Hearing this live made it jump to the front.
Wow.
Yes. So a couple of years ago, I hate saying years, but a couple of years ago, Jeff and I and Jeff's lovely wife, Chris, we went up to San Francisco and we saw Rain Parade perform live. And when this song played, I remember, just like we were saying, like I felt that there was, I don't know, something in the air, energy in the air, but I connected with this song more than I had in the past.
Oh.
So there was just something that snapped. And so I want to talk about it after I have a few things to say, but I do want to share before we play. So this is a quote from Scott Miller from his book, Music, What Happened? Okay, 1983, if you're following along in your books. But
as a professor would say.
Yeah. So he's selected for 1983 one of his favorite songs, or one of the more poignant songs of the year, 1 hour, 1/2 ago by Rain Parade. And this is what he says. Paisley underground bands were properly from LA, and one group of core practitioners was the Rain Parade, which contained future Mazzy Star members David Roback and Will Glenn. Emergency Third Rail Power Trip was probably the most certifiably trippy of the branded projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm like, well, Scott and I are on the same page. So 1 hour, 1/2 ago.
What's the point looking back? All you see is an empty track of lives you lived, the things you
Love that.
Dang. So this song is written by, is credited as being written by both Stephen and David Roback. What I like about this song, and I'm sure our friend Jim from the JFJ Conspiracy podcast will be upset because it is a 4-minute, 14-second song, but it's the varying rhythms. In my head, I say this song is like a roller coaster because it goes, it starts out, what's the point? And it's kind of, what's the point of looking back? And so it's kind of fast, and then it dips, and then we come back to his second verse. What's the use of anything that brings you down? Can't believe it for an hour. You're in here just a while. And then it goes, boom.
Yes.
And so you're just kind of following, right? And you say, I think they're going to go this way. And then they go that way. And that's the beauty of this song, right? Is you don't know where it's going to go, but you just know you're going to be taken care of. And I love these first two stanzas of lyrics. What's the point of looking back? All you see is an empty track of lives you've lived and things you tried to love. What's the use of anything that brings you down? Can't believe it for an hour. You're in here just a while. And it goes back to that reflecting on life. It's like, we're here for this speck of time. Don't look back. Look forward. Don't let it bring you down.
Wow.
This is me. I like to analyze lyrics in my head.
Yeah.
But I love the pacing, the slow, fast, slow, like they never let me get comfortable. I don't settle, which is good.
Yes.
And then these guitars, like I want to know what pedals are being used on the guitar. Because to quote Michael Curcio, at the end, this freak out at the end is just so cool because it's all this distortion and guitars and keyboards. And what I love is like, it's this it's like a wave, right? It's like, and then you hear the drums, right? Callis starts going faster and faster and faster at the end. And all I'm hearing is distortion. I'm hearing guitars, I'm hearing everything. And then boom, like they just stop it. And because I wanted it to keep going, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those end jams of a song that I said, I never want it to end. But, and then live this song is just ridiculously good because you're there, you're in the zone. I just love all of the experimenting in the pacing, the instruments, and the sounds in this song. And the lyrics, I mean, you and I have talked before about how Matt Pucci, Stephen Roback, and we have to include David Roback, they write good songs.
Yeah.
So that was my pick.
So I have to say, Soraya, that you just mentioning that line, what's the point in anything that brings you down? For me, like just now, as you're saying that, it's just, wow. Like, I mean, it totally sounds like something like Stephen Roback would write or say, but how profound that is. And you're mentioning, life is only, we're only here for a short period of time. What is the point of anything that brings you down? Why focus on those things that are, I mean, life is too short to deal with that.
Right.
Anything.
And then
it's so profound.
And then the very last line, right? Things we do are the way we choose to live. Yeah. Your choice, my choice, we all do it differently. So let's just enjoy the time that we're here.
It's pretty profound. Yeah. So,
I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so you mentioned that the song was written by the Roback brothers. If I'm not mistaken, this is the only song that they recorded that the two of them wrote only together. So No Easy Way Down from Explosions in the Glass Palace was a band written song, or credit for the entire band. I think this is the only song that just the two brothers wrote together.
Just the two, because I'm looking at the credits, and even Look at Mary has the two brothers, but also Matt Pucci. That's a good point. Very interesting. What I found very interesting too is that 1 hour, 1/2 ago in the credits, Stephen comes first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have talked about before, especially with the, I don't want to say illegal, but the unreleased album that you somehow
Import. Import.
there we go. The import of that one of the one Viva Saturn,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Unreleased. I'll say unreleased.
Yeah, unreleased.
You and I talked about how Stephen Roback, not just a really good vocalist, but a very, very strong songwriter. So it's just cool. It's just cool to hear these songs again and just kind of enjoy the lyrics of it.
Yes.
But great song. So
yeah. What do you say we flip to side 2?
let's flip it over, Jack. Now I'm going to
do
take your spot.
Okay.
So I took the leadoff track from side 2. And it's one of my favorite Rain Parade songs of all time. Okay. And it's What She's Done to Your Mind. So the writing credit, Matt Pucci and David Roback. And under 3 minutes. So this is just a strong song. And we've talked about it before as in other contexts, but I just love this song. So What She's Done to Your Mind.
You may say you've not been had. You proclaim your sadness past. You believe it's all behind. You can see what she's done to your mind. You tell me that you're not sad. You explain you don't feel bad. You believe she told you lies. You can't hide the tears in your eyes. The tears in your eyes. She can let you down. She can let you down. She can let you down. Is your smile made of pain? Kindness is the only way. You may say that you're not down. Tell me why you're hanging around. I can't hear what you don't say, but I can see you anyway. You believe that's all behind. You can't see what she's done to your mind. What she's done to your mind. She can let you down. She can let you down. She can let you
Yes.
All that jingle jangly goodness.
Yes.
So Birds-esque. And I love the guitars on this. One thing that we have that I didn't mention before, but I have to mention here because it's staring me in the face. Harmony of these voices
Yeah.
in that chorus. It's beauty. She won't let you,
Yes.
won't let you down. Oh, it's so stinking good. And it's just lyrically beautiful and it's just musically beautiful. And it just grabs you. And in 2 minutes, 56 seconds,
Yes.
tells
yes.
you the whole story, tells me
Yeah.
everything I ever needed to know. And I love, so that chorus to me is just beautiful, harmonies and just melodically beautiful. But I like this, these verses. Is your smile made of pain? Kindness is the only way. You may say that you're not down, so tell me why you're hanging around. And then once again, we get that little extra harmony, why you're hanging around. Love this song, love the voice. I love everything about it. And it's such a strong song that it made me wonder. I mean, do you have the single there?
I don't. It's in the
Okay.
other room. Yeah.
Okay, but we've talked about the single and as a very early release, and
Different
I
version.
go, okay, so side 2. But when you look at it though, you like to examine track listing and kind of think about that. This was a great start to side 2. Great start.
Yeah.
And it was a way of not letting that early release overshadow newer songs. I thought it was just interesting that it appears on side 2 and not side 1.
Ah.
But I think, oh, okay, that's a good way. You know, let me hear some new stuff, and then let me hear something I know, followed by some other new stuff. You know,
Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe I'm full of it.
No, you never are.
No, but it's my opinion, and I'll
Yeah.
stand by it.
And
All right, Jeff. So that's mine.
Wait, before we move
Yeah.
on, I did want to mention real quickly that Matt Pucci has mentioned that the song was about Susanna Hoffs from the band.
Yes.
Moving on. The 12-string guitar on What She's Done to Your Mind. Oh my gosh. You mentioned earlier.
Gorgeous.
The birds came up when you were talking about that article that you had read. Absolutely hear a bird sound. And the tambourine on this, it's just fabulous. It's just catchy. So we have a lot of songs on this album are like more downbeat, more somber,
Sure.
more melancholy. And then you have What She's Done to Your Mind. It's just pop goodness. 2:57, just below the Jim Strong 3-minute mark.
There you go.
Perfect song. All right. So my last pick. And Soraya, you know how much I love Stephen Roback.
Absolutely, I do.
So this is a Stephen Roback song, which ends the American release, Kaleidoscope. And what a great psychedelic title, Kaleidoscope, right? And imagery there. This was one of the 2 songs that were recorded at Radio Tokyo, that studio that my band recorded. And so White Glove Test was the band that I was in. And part of the reason why I'm picking Kaleidoscope is this drum track, who isn't Eddie Kawa, by the way. So the drums were by Michael Murphy. So this drum track, the drummer in my band, White Glove Test, totally copped this drum, or was highly influenced by this drum on one of our tracks, Worshipping Boys. So whenever I hear Kaleidoscope, I think back to my buddy Pat Monin, who was the drummer in White Glove Test, and just how much we loved this album when it first came out and what an influence it was. So much so that the drum beat was a direct influence on one of our songs. So that's part of the reason why I picked it. And it closes out the album. So I did a lead off track and the closing. So kind of book ending this. Back to YouTube. There was a comment. I don't know how to say the person's name. It's either Lions LA Foray or Lions La Foray. I don't know. But they made this comment on the Kaleidoscope track on YouTube where they said, one of the most delicate songs in the history of rock. Come on. And then there was several people that actually that commented or agreed with that. So one of the most delicate songs in the history of rock. I can't say that I necessarily disagree with that, but it's a huge statement, right? So, I mean, in the history of rock, anything that precedes that, come on. But still, Stephen Roback, delicate, of course, right? He just has this feeling to him in his songs. And there's not a lot of lyrics in this, but I wanted to read those, the imagery in it. And earlier I was talking about talking in my sleep, and there was the phrase, I could turn a key and almost certainly. So there's this turning imagery, even with the key. And that imagery comes up again in the, the, the end bookend of this set, right? With kaleidoscope. So like a kaleidoscope, I turn and I'm turning, right? What I thought was gone is now returning, right? I wonder if it matters as the pattern shifts and shatters. Like a kaleidoscope, revolve and revolving, what I thought was there is now dissolving. I wonder if it matters as the power pattern shifts and shatters. Like a kaleidoscope, I turn and I'm turning. What I thought I knew, I'm just now learning. I wonder if it matters as the pattern shifts and shatters. So I just love that imagery. You know, you're thinking about a kaleidoscope, looking through it, and it's so psychedelic too. And then when you apply it to life, right? And again, there's this imagery of turning. I don't know. I just like that phrase appears, you know, in the lead off track and the closing track. So you're starting off with turning the key, right? Opening something, that opportunity is gone. And then you're talking about life. Something was gone and now returning. So I don't know. I just like that book ending of the lyrics, written by different people, right? So this is Stephen Roback. That was Matt and David. So anyways, great song. And I messed up earlier when I was talking about the satire. So kaleidoscope is, I think, where Matt's playing satire. And it's just, again, one of the most delicate songs in the history of rock. Here's Kaleidoscope. there's that sitar. No, 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 no. Matt Piucci. So,
Oh man.
yeah, this is a great song, and I think it's a great way to end the album. It just lets you off loosely. It's such a great track, and Stephen Roback just amazing. Um, that little end part, freak out, if you will. That love that bass part. Stephen did that. Boom, 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 no, no, no. That's just great. I just absolutely love this track, and that drum beat always takes me back too. So just like the lead off on "Talking in My Sleep," these drums, just great album. And I will say, Soraya, that this is probably my favorite album from the Paisley Underground. So 16 Tambourines probably the most important to me, but this album just great. And I want to mention, I love this album cover. So Danny Bonaire just posted the cover for 16 Tambourines, and somebody reposted that it shows up on a Facebook group called Shit Album Covers. Somebody
Yeah.
reposted 16 Tambourines, which I don't get. I think it's a good cover. Danny doesn't like it either. But anyways, this cover, I think it's fantastic. I love the colorization on it, and it just has a vibe to it.
Yeah.
It's like a horse track or something. Some maybe like a fairground or something, and all these balloons going up and the colorization on it. No credit is given. I haven't seen any credit on who created this cover, but I just love it. And it doesn't even have the title of the album, just as the band name. The title is on the back, not the front, and the band cover, love it. It's just an amazing album. And I wanted to mention, Soraya, that the name of the album, Emergency Third Rail Power Trip, I believe comes from some signage on BART, the BART Transit, Bay Area Rapid Transit, right? Is a transportation subway system in the Bay Area, and there's signage for that. And I was looking up the BART website, and they have a little comment where they it's injury prevention site on the BART website, and it says, "Do not cross the tracks, walk on the trackways, or touch the electric third rail." So I think, yeah, I've seen pictures that people have posted of the emergency third rail power trip. So this third rail must have some electricity going through it. So there must be some shut off the emergency third rail power trip, right? So there must be some breaker just in case something happens. But Soraya, don't touch that third rail.
I will not.
Do not.
Although the next time we're up in Northern California, I think we have a photo that needs to be taken.
Yeah, and the Glass Palace.
Oh,
Yeah. So we got it. Golden Gate Park. We got to do that. So, yeah.
If only we could recruit.
Yes.
Get Stephen Roback to sit with us.
Yeah. You could play Will Glenn. I'll be Eddie Kawa.
Why not?
I don't know if I can get in that Lotus position or whatever they
are. I know I can't. But anyways.
So Emergency Third Rail Power Trip, amazing album, beautiful. Incredible. There isn't a bad song, and Kitty agrees.
Oh yeah, my cat decided that this was the time that he wanted to sit closer to the speaker.
Yes. So you got a rain parade.
Approved.
Yep. Everybody in your house approves.
Exactly. What a great album. I'm so glad that we took the time to dig into it.
Yes. And
this
if you don't have it, the Jim Hill Remastered CD, yes, on Real Gun, right? Yep.
And then show that beautiful colored vinyl one more time.
Oh, I put it away.
Which I know this one is that's a hard to find, because I know that was a limited press.
Yeah, it was limited to 1,000 copies, and it sold out rather quickly.
Very quickly.
But yeah, it's amazing. So Frank, are you watching? Are you watching this, or are you listening? So
gorgeous.
Yes.
So pretty.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So if you want looks, get this one. If you want sound,
I'll get the other one.
get the remastered CD. So
there you go. But either way, you can't go wrong.
Yes.
Third Rail Power Trip, Rain Parade.
Yes.
Mi gente, a groovear.
Groove on, Paisley people.